So we left off last time with 8.5, we're looking at using the law of sines to solve our non-right triangles. Now in 8.6, we're just going to be adding in what we call the law of cosines. I'm going to skip past that opening question. It's always a good thing to look at in terms of where this rule is coming from. But getting into the meat of our law of cosines, it can be used to find missing sides or angles in triangles, again, that are not right triangles. That part's important. Just like with the law of sines, if I had a right triangle, I could just use SOHCAHTOA, my trig functions. If I don't have a right triangle, I have to get a little bit more creative. So you can use the law of cosines to find the length of all their measurements in a triangle if we know the measures of these specific starting situations. Either two side lengths and the measure of the included angle. Remember, included would be the angle in between. So that would be a situation where I start with side angle side as given measurements. Or I could also use this when I start with all three sides given. And that would be a side situation. So for that law of cosines, it's a little bit longer formula. And I have three equations written down here, but it really just simplifies to one equation that we're just going to adjust pieces with. Law of cosines means that if I take a side length, so lowercase a is going to refer to the side length opposite from angle A. If I take that side length and square it, the start of this formula looks a lot like Pythagorean theorem. A squared equals b squared plus c squared. And again, b and c are also referring to those other two side lengths. I can then subtract 2 times b times c, so again that's just side length times side length, and finish with the cosine of angle A, and that's why we call it the law of cosines. So notice that I have three equations written there, but it's really the same equation with just three pieces rearranged. The only part that matters for your equation is that one side, notice, is isolated on the left, and that side is going to match with whatever angle you're using in the cosine function. If you start with side length for A, or if you want to find that side length, you should be using the cosine of angle A on the right-hand side of that equation. Same thing if I wanted to find the side length for side B, I use the cosine of angle B that's opposite. And same thing for side length C, I would use cosine of angle C that's opposite. So it's a lot like law of sines. I want to be using pairs. If I'm looking for a missing side, I should also be using that angle in the formula as well. So I wouldn't worry too much about memorizing three different formulas. It's really that same first formula just repeated in three different ways. And let's look at that in solving our non-right triangle. If I set up my law of cosines, again this is looking for a side length B. Doesn't matter too much, again, about matching it to the right equation. All we care about is whatever side length we're looking for side length B, I should be using the cosine of that angle in the same equation. So I'm just going to pick out that second formula, but again, it's really the same thing as the first equation. If I'm looking for a side length, that's the part I want to isolate, b squared, and that's going to be equal to our other two sides, a squared plus c squared, minus, again, 2 times a times c, and we also multiply the cosine of angle b. So let's look at what that's going to be when we start plugging in for some values that we know. B squared, that's what we have to find still, but side A, across from angle A, we know the side length is 22. We can substitute that into our equation. And we also know the side length of side C, that would be a side length of 10. So now we know our A squared plus C squared is 22 squared and a 10 squared. Same thing when I plug in 2 times A times C, that's still just those same side lengths. So across from angle A, that side length is 22. Across from angle C, that side length is 10. So now I just have 2 times 22 times 10. And the last part we're going to finish that equation with is, again, the cosine of the angle that's opposite from the side that we're trying to find. We're trying to find side B, so that's why we're using cosine of this angle that's opposite. That would be 44 degrees in our equation. And really, this could all be put into the calculator at once. We don't really have to take the next step that I listed there. Since there's no variables at all left on the right-hand side, we have our b squared isolated. And this could just give us a single calculator answer. We could just jump straight to get 267.49. I took that in steps though. I did 22 squared plus 10 squared. That comes out to 584. 2 times 22 times 10, that's going to make 440. And we're just going to leave that cosine by itself. But again, if I enter this in the calculator exactly as it appears, 584 minus 440 cosine 44, that should make the entire right-hand side 267.49. Again, you could skip this step where we're trying to simplify parts of it. Since the entire right-hand side does not contain any variables, that we can just simplify and get an answer from the calculator. We do have to remember, though, that on the left-hand side it was b squared. So even if I simplify the entire right-hand side and just get that down to a decimal answer, I'm still going to have to finish by taking a square root to isolate for b by itself, and that's where we get the 16.4 from. So again, the entire right-hand side of our law of cosines, as long as I'm just looking for a side length, nothing on the right should contain a variable. I plugged in for A, plugged in for C, plugged in for the cosine of that angle. And that means if I go straight to that decimal answer, last step is just to take a square root and just end with 16.4. And we're going to see a different kind of situation. Well, actually, pretty similar situation on the next part. Now we're just naming this a different triangle. We don't have A and B and C, but it doesn't really matter. And I just called this side length X. You could call it really any variable name you'd like. If we're looking for the side length of MN, that's just looking for, again, distance from M to N. So if you're naming this with lowercase, you call that lowercase L, but again, X, Y, A, B, doesn't really matter what you call it. All you're looking for is that side should be isolated in your equation, X squared is by itself, and you're plugging in your other two sides. If 48 is a known length, I can use 48 squared. 29, I'm also squaring it. And notice also that order doesn't matter. 29 squared plus 48 squared, if we switch the order, it's going to give us the same result. Same thing when I substitute in the second half of my equation, 48 and 29. I could reverse the order, going to give me the same thing. 29 times 48, not going to matter. But as long as I have those two sides substituted, that's our two sides that we know. The one thing that's important here, though, is that we're finishing with the cosine of the angle that's opposite from the side we want to find. If we're looking for this side length, MN, opposite from that side would be an angle of 104 degrees, so that's the pair that I want to keep together. X is what we're looking for, opposite of that side is 104 degrees. And again, you could skip this second step. Since nothing on the right-hand side contains a variable, I could put this all into the calculator and get straight to my decimal answer. But just taking that in steps, I combine the two squared parts, got 3145, multiplied this out, got 2784, and then I took one more step to enter that into the calculator. But just like the last question, want to remember to take a square root since this is x squared. If I want to get just that side length by itself, I'm going to square root both sides of my equation, end up with about 61.8, and again, that last couple steps is going to come from the calculator. So that's our situation where we started with side, angle, side. We have two sides that we started with and also the angle in between them. Now we're going to look at a situation where we start with our second scenario. That's side, side, side. So we know all three sides to start with, and now we're looking for the measure of an angle that's missing because we don't have any to begin with. So if I'm looking for the measure, in this case, of angle V, all I got to do, kind of like with my last setup, is just make sure I'm matching this angle with the side length that's opposite from the angle. So in my equation, it is important what comes on the left-hand side. It's got to be 4.4 squared because 4.4 is the side length that's opposite of the angle that we want to find. So that part does have to be on the left, but the 7.1 and the 6.7, those I could arrange in any order. If you had 6.7 squared plus 7.1 squared, you'd still end up with the same answer. But that's our formula. We stick our isolated side on the left, then our other two sides, we're going to add those squared values, then subtract again 2 times, in the formula be something like b times c. In this case, those are the two sides that we know, 7.1 and 6.7. One thing that we're going to have different, though, is that we don't know the angle yet, so we're just going to leave that as cosine of angle v. But again, it is important that it's angle v, because opposite of that angle, we had a 4.4. That was the part that was isolated. So this is where I took a step just to simplify that question as parts. If I took a square on the left, I get 19.36. I combined these two squared parts together and got 95.3, so that's where I'm getting this first part from. And I also multiplied out 2 times 7.1 times 6.7. That's where the 95.14 is coming from. So this step is important because what a lot of people make as a mistake is they try to subtract these two values. It's pretty tempting just to take 95.3 and subtract 95.14. Looks like we should be able to combine them. But the issue there is that the second term, this 95.14, contains a cosine, but the first term doesn't. If I include that cosine, these are not like terms. I can't just subtract these two. We're actually going to have to solve this in a couple steps. So first step, if I still want to get V isolated as an angle, I got to subtract this as basically my first term. If I subtract 95.3 from both sides, on the left, now I'll have a negative. And on the right-hand side, if I subtracted 95.3, now I'm just left with that second term. So that should just be the negative 95.14 cosine V. We're just left with this part because we got rid of the 95.3. So a couple more algebra steps. If I have negative 95.14, again, if I'm multiplying times cosine, opposite of multiplication is division. So this step, I took negative 75.94, I divided by negative 95.14, and since we're using some decimals, I just left that as a decimal answer, 0.798. And just like the questions that we've seen before, if we're looking for the value of an angle, since I got to get rid of that cosine function, we want to be thinking of ending with an inverse trig function. If I know that the cosine of angle V is this decimal, to find V by itself, I can take an inverse cosine of that same ratio. That's going to get me my angle measure, and again, that would come from the calculator. Inverse cosine of 0.798, that should come out to about 37.0. And we'll try that again just using, I think with decimals might be a little bit more complex. Let's look at this with some whole numbers. So same kind of question. We start with 3 side lengths that are given. We want to use this to find, in this case, the measure of angle y. Again, the only thing that matters for your formula in terms of the order is we want to put the isolated side across from my angle. So if the angle that we're trying to find is y, the side length across from that is going to be a 6. So that's the part that I want to isolate in my equation. But again, with the 4 and the 7, doesn't matter what order we put them in as long as we're squaring both of those. And then again, multiplying those for the second half of the equation. 4 and 7, 7 and 4, going to give you the same answer. We do want to find cosine of y, so that's why we can't just simplify this entire right-hand side. We do have a variable on that right-hand side. So I took a step to, again, add those two squares together. 4 squared plus 7 squared should give us a 65. And when we multiply out 2 times 4 times 7, that's where I'm getting the 56 from. But just like the last question, these are not like terms. Second term contains a cosine function, but the first term doesn't. So I can't just subtract 65 minus 56. Can't just say that this is going to be 9 by itself. What we have to do, just like the last one, is subtract our first term. So 36 minus 65, that's where we get a negative 29 from. And that's where we're left at the second half of this, negative 56 cosine of y. Since we've subtracted 65, now I'm going to have to take a couple more algebra steps to finish. So after we subtracted the 65 from both sides, just like the last question, now we're going to divide. Since this is multiplied times the cosine, I get rid of that with division. So negative 29 divided by negative 56, our negative signs would cancel out. And we could just write that as 29 over 56. But just like the last question also, if I'm looking for an angle value and I'm using a trig function, got to think inverse trig. So inverse cosine of that same ratio, 29 over 56. That's where we get our final answer from, 58.8. And we're just going to use this again for one more question. This is also getting into why we don't use law of sines in these situations. So you have the figure drawn. I'm not going to read through the question too much because it's there for you. You guys can read that. But first question is it possible to use the law of sines to solve for this missing side D? We want to find the distance between those two planes. So it's not possible to use the law of sines whenever you don't have a complete pair. And by complete pair, we mean that we need an angle and also the side that's across from that angle. If we don't have that, just like the last questions, I'll point that out. We had all 3 sides, but we didn't have any angles. And on the very first page or at the top of the page, we have an angle, but we don't know the side across from it. So whenever we don't have that pair, angle and side across from it, I can't use law of sines. But in this case, that just means I'm going to have to use law of cosines instead. So if I want to find that distance, it's just like the first questions that we set up. We know 2 sides and we know the angle in between. One thing to notice about that equation that I made though, so first of all, we have d squared isolated just like we want. 2.1, 3.5, doesn't matter the order as long as I'm squaring those and multiplying them in the second half. But the cosine of 105, notice that the 75 degrees is outside of my triangle. We have to think of our supplementary angles first. We need to use the angle that's inside the triangle. So if I take 180 minus 75, that's where that 105 is coming from. I'm not using the 75 since it's outside the triangle. 105 would be the measure that's next to it that's inside the triangle. But just like the first few questions, since the entire right-hand side doesn't have any variables at all, you could really skip this next step and get straight to your calculator answer. Put this on into the calculator and that should give you a decimal about 20.46. Same thing if I want to finish by taking a square root, that's going to leave us with 4.5 as an answer. So again, just got to be careful about the starting situation. No pair of opposite angle and opposite side means we can't use law of sines. So that's why you got to get good at using that law of cosines formula. So we'll work on some of that practice together in class after looking at this.